Let me tell you about the legend of the Amirah Bridge and my experience there. They say the sound begins just after midnight, the gallop of a horse across a bridge that no longer exists. Near Gangotri, a steel bridge spans the Bhagirathi Gorge, but beneath that lies something older, a wooden crossing built by the British adventurer Henry Ashton and swallowed by the river over a century ago. Yet the villagers say it isn't gone. They say some nights, when the wind goes still, you can hear the hoofbeats, and then you see her, a woman in white, standing where the bridge once ended. Amirah. And if you ever cross that bridge after dark, don't stop when you hear the splash, because by then, you are already too late. Over 150 years ago, a British adventurer named Henry Ashton came to these mountains, searching for fortune, fame, and forests to claim. It was Ashton who first built a wooden bridge across the Bhagirathi River, connecting the cliffs near Gangotri. People said it would collapse the moment anyone set foot on it. So to prove them wrong, Ashton rode his horse back and forth across the wooden planks again and again until no one dared doubt him. He became rich, cutting and selling the ancient deodar trees, floating them downstream to the plains with the blessing of the Raja of Teri. And one day, while riding through a mountain village, he met Amirah, a young woman with gray-green eyes and a laugh that echoed like wind through pine trees. Ashton instantly fell in love with Amirah, and Amirah felt the same for Ashton. Amirah hadn't seen anybody like Ashton before and thought he looked magnificent. Ashton soon married Amirah and built her a house in Hasil, high among the apple orchards. They had 2 sons, and for a while, it seemed like the mountains themselves had accepted him. But wealth has a way of changing a man. In Mussoorie, Ashton met an Englishwoman, Catherine Rhodes, and decided she too should share his life. He built her a home in the hills, filled it with luxury and excuses. Amirah waited for him in Hasil, tending the orchards, raising their children. Rumors reached her long before he did. When he finally returned, she confronted him. He laughed, told her to stop believing gossip. She said nothing, just walked to the gun table, picked up his old flintlock pistol, and fired. The bullet missed, cracked the mirror instead. Amirah ran down the slope through the orchard toward the bridge. Ashton chased after her on horseback. He could see the beautiful Amirah's white sari in the distance. But when he reached the bridge, Amirah had already climbed onto the railing and jumped. The last thing he heard was a single scream, swallowed by the roaring river below. Her body was found the next morning, tangled in driftwood a mile downstream. After this incident, Ashton sealed off the bridge, and no one has crossed it since. But the villagers swear that on stormy nights, they could still hear his horse galloping across, searching for her. I didn't believe this story, of course, and then I got the chance to visit the place while vacationing with friends. I was staying in a forest rest house nearby with a few friends, the Kapoors and the Menons, 2 married couples. I was the odd one out, single, quiet, and mostly invisible. While they argued about city life, I wandered the riverbanks, exploring the old forests that once made Ashton rich. But one misty evening, I started hearing hoofsteps, loudly and clearly coming across from the bridge. And while crossing the bridge, I saw her. A beautiful woman at the far end, hair loose, sari fluttering in the wind. She didn't seem to notice me, just stood there, staring down into the gorge. Since it was nighttime and this was a dangerous area, I called out to her asking if she was okay. I'll admit my loneliness after spending so much time with married couples was a contributing factor to call out to her as well. But then, without warning, she climbed over the railing and jumped. I sprinted to the edge, yelling out for someone else around to help as well. But by the time I reached her, she'd already vanished into the raging water below. Breathing heavily, heart pounding, I ran to the nearby watchman's cabin. I frantically told him what happened at the bridge. The man inside, an old guard named Balram, barely looked up from his hookah. "Ah, Amirah again," he said. Balram told me the same story I've told you now. The story of Amirah and Henry Ashton. He said sometimes, when the mist rolls in, we can hear the hoof steps of Ashton's horse galloping across the bridge as he calls out to Amirah. And Amirah relives that night, throws herself off the bridge again and again, forever tortured by her husband and caught between the living and the dead. "Don't worry," he said. "She doesn't hurt anyone, she is just remembering." But that night, I started to think, what if Amirah wasn't only remembering her death? What if the pain she has suffered had been held on by that bridge, and Amirah was recreating it, but with someone new each time? I brushed off these thoughts to get some much-needed sleep. The night before we were to leave, when the others were asleep, curiosity had gotten the better of me, and I went back to the same forest near the bridge for one last walk. I had hoped to get a glimpse of Amirah's face and see if she was as beautiful as the legends told. The bridge was empty, just a faint glow from 2 lamps at either end. I stood in the center, listening to the water roar below. Then I saw her again, a white sari gliding through the mist. I called out to her, hoping she would turn before jumping. "Amirah!" She turned, hair wild, eyes wide, and before I could move, she leapt. I just stared at the spot where she jumped from, frozen. I was surprised, not because of Amirah's beauty, but her familiarity. She looked almost exactly like my friend, the Rana's wife I'd traveled here with, but before I could even think more on it. Footsteps rushed to my side. It was Vikram Rana, one of my friends, his face pale, voice cracking.
"My wife. Did you see my wife?"
We ran to the railing. There, in the swirling current, was a body, twisting helplessly. It took us an hour to reach her downstream. She was gone, just like Amirah. The next morning, we cremated Mrs. Rana by the riverbank. No one spoke, and all you could hear was Mr. Rana's sob muffled by the sound of the river flowing. I listened to the flow and ebb of the river as the smoke from the wood rose slowly into the mist, curling the same way as the mist did on the night Amirah died. I couldn't stop thinking about her eyes before she jumped. Wild, empty, and frantic. And then it hit me. What if Amirah wasn't just remembering at all? What if she was searching for someone else? Someone to take her place? Every few years, the bridge calls another soul, another Amirah. And maybe that's how she keeps walking. One life, traded for another. The Yaksha Files. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Multiple horror stories every week, so be sure to subscribe.